cholesterol, and even some cancers, such as bowel and breast cancer, those cancers which are associated with our lifestyle. We also address heart disease and, of course, type 2 diabetes. And if you're new to us, I am Dr. Linda. I'm an emergency medicine physician here tuning in from Sheffield. And I'm here with my amazing co-host, Dr. Erica, who is a GP from the West Midlands. And we are both lifestyle medicine physicians. Today, we have an amazing guest for you, Sean Jennings, who is going to talk about his harrowing journey on how he has addressed chronic pain with lifestyle practices. It will be a fantastic story that we hope you will share with your loved ones so that they also can learn how to address chronic pain without medication. If you're new to us, well, you can join us on our members area on afternoonteawithdocs.com, a completely free-for-all community where you can have peer-to-peer support to help you with chronic pain and chronic diseases. And also, you can say hello on our social media on Instagram, Facebook, and also on LinkedIn. I would love to hear about your lifestyle medicine journey. And if there's anything that we can help with, we are always here to do so.
So today, as Linda's already mentioned, we've got Sean Jennings joining us, and Sean is an inspiration for people living with chronic pain and also for clinicians. He was dependent on pain medications for 25 years and lost the ability to do the things he used to love doing and could not play with his grandchildren. At the age of 57, a pain management program changed his life. He's now bought a jet ski and a kayak, getting his life back, and it's thriving, and he hasn't stopped here. He's been working with a number of NHS organisations using his personal story to educate and inspire others. He's also been featured in an NHS England film, Sean's Story, There's Another Way. And he's also presented at the House of Lords, and it's a resident fellow at the Institute of Social Prescribing and also personalised care ambassador at the Colonel CCG, and also a member of a number of patient safety quality improvements. Welcome, Sean.
Hi, nice to see you. Merry Easter, everybody. So I'm Sean Jennings. I'm 61, coming up to 62. And when I was 32, so 1992, I had a hernia operation, which I thought was going to be routine. Unfortunately, it wasn't. So the next 25 years was my nightmare, my opioid oblivion, as I call it. I was sent home with a handful of cocodamol. But the pain didn't go away, so it increased and increased and increased until, as you say, till I was 37, as you say, 32, sorry, when I actually had the operation. So another 25 years on top of that, and it was, horrendous. Couldn't play with the grandchildren, as you've mentioned. Going to the shop was, it was a nightmare. I'd try, and I'd tried most things, but I'd always pay for it in the end. The next day was awful, no sleep. It was a maximum of 2 hours sleep a night because the pain was so bad. So that went on for 25 years.
And now,
yes,
how is your life now?
So the things that I learned at the pain management program has given me 4 years of medication-free, getting my life back together. I'm so happy, but Celia's got an action man now, where she had a man that used to sit on the sofa and didn't want to go out anywhere. So we're, as you said, I've got the jet ski and we water ski and meet friends, go for walks. A friend of mine is the head sound engineer for Ray Davis from the Kinks. So we've been to a few of his gigs and got backstage passes and just everything that I used to do and a bit more.
That's great to hear, Sean. You talked about your opioid oblivion. Actually, I remember when we first met, and that would have been sometime like July last year.
Yes, I think it was.
You shared with me a picture that you drew, the opioid oblivion picture. I wondered if you'd like me to share that with the audience?
Yeah, that's fine. It was actually part of our patient safety Kernel QI deprescribing break-off group. It was penned by a girl from Southwest Academic Health Science Network. So yeah, but yes, please share it.
Yeah, okay, so give me a second. And please do talk us through it. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it, thank you. So on the left-hand side, I've had the problem with pain, and I was scheduled for this operation. And then down the first lump, and I thought, I'm going to be in less pain now. So I thought, well, everything was going to be fine. But as I said, it got on and on and on, and my medication was changed from cocodamol to tramadol, and then the dreaded morphine. Alongside that was the gabapentinoid. So that right at the very bottom, you see that I've got a covered in a very dark cloud, a very stormy lifestyle, doing nothing, not wanting to go out. So yeah, poor quality of life, sadness, no hope. Of course, you get mental health problems. I thought to myself, I'm holding my family back. It's what's the point in all of this? But obviously, I'm quite a strong character, and I thought, I've got to do something about that. The loneliness was the worst thing, and I, keeping Celia back. She's such a lovely lady. In fact, we only got together about 4 or 5 months before I had my operation, so she's been through all of this with me. In fact, I've recently asked her to write down her story of what it was like living with me and what it's like living with me now. So I have got that, Erica, which I will share with you. If I haven't got it right with me right this second, but I will pass that on to you. And I read through it, and we both cried, because of where I am now. And I was offered this operation partly way through my oblivion. I went to see the professor of surgery in Derriford, Plymouth, and he said basically we can do an operation to get the nerves away from the gauze because they were entangled. I had an infection in the outer scar, which at the time I didn't realize had traveled through into the internal scar, and the nerves had got caught up in the gauze, which causing this like a chafing of the nerves. And so he said to me, we could do the operation and try it. And he said, you might lose a testicle, and you might lose the use of your leg, or at least the sensation down your right leg. But I have to tell you might be in more pain. So I chatted with Celia, and I thought to myself, well, at my age, I'm not worried about the testicle. Don't like the idea of not being able to use my leg, but I could live with that to get rid of the pain. But I could not live with more pain, not more pain than I was already in. But so, yeah, then I went back to my GP and, tried to get onto something and find more tools to do it. And thank goodness I went down that route and not the operation. So he basically told me that there was no more surgical stuff that they could do to me. So I went back to the pain clinic right at the very bottom. And yeah, as it says down the very bottom, I'm stuck. And that's exactly how I thought about it. And then just to the right of the bottom there, so you can see a light bulb. I had this light bulb moment. I'd been called into a Department of Work and Pensions tribunal because they told me that I was fit for work, and I thought, well, I'm not very well. I find trouble getting out of bed. What employer is going to, sort of 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock let me go to bed for a while? Nobody. So I went to the tribunal, and there was a judge and a GP, and the GP said to me, he said, Mr. Jennings, he said, you need help. He said that opioids only work for 12 weeks, and that's the time that the skin tissue takes to heal. Any time after that, they don't do anything. So I thought, well, why on earth have they been giving it to you then? Well, giving it to me. So, but that was my light bulb moment. And I read an article in one of the papers that said exactly what that man had said to me. So I thought, well, I've really, really got to do something about this. So I went to my GP and said, look, I'd done a pain management program probably a year and a bit after the operation, and back then the ethos was keep taking the medication. Prevention is better than cure. There was a little bit of cognitive therapy, but not very much at the time. So I asked my GP to be referred back to the pain management program in UHP, Derriford, Plymouth, and I changed.
And this was when?
This was 2017, September-ish of 2017. Yeah, so as soon as you walk in, they said, right, you've got to embrace your pain. So that's exactly what I did. It said, you know, if it's not gone now, then it probably won't go. So I thought, well, you know, what am I going to do? And they said, right, we're going to do some mindfulness and some exercise. And I thought, these people are mad. How am I going to do that? Mindfulness to me at the time was hippy dippy stuff, and exercise, I could hardly get out of bed. How was I going to be exercising? But I did. We learned mindfulness. I didn't get it for the first 9 sessions, I think it was. So I think we did 14 sessions over 7 weeks, twice a week. And I just didn't get the mindfulness. But then all of a sudden it clicked, and I do everything mindfully now. As I'm sat here, I can feel my pressure points, my bottom on the seat, feet on the floor, my arms are folded and my elbows on the table. When you've been doing it 4 years, you think about everything that's mindfully. You know, it comes as second nature. I taste my food better. The food tastes so much better now. When you go out into nature, you can hear the more birds sing, or they're louder. It's an incredible thing, and as I say, it saved my life. With the mindfulness, then the exercise, I'm really getting great thrill out of that. Started off with doing Tai Chi, which I still do every day now. Resistance bands to start with a little bit of exercise. Tentatively walking to start with, but we do quite a bit of walking now. And the Tai Chi, I continue because I used to do a lot of martial arts before my operation, so that came sort of naturally to me. It's more gentle. Nobody hits me back either, so it's a nice easy one. But so I just got better and better and better. And the exercise, as I was saying to Erica and Linda, around the pain site, I mean, the muscles are built up, so there's more support around that, those nerves. So I don't get, when I'm walking, I am still in pain, and I still do get the pain, but I'm able to put it at the back of the cupboard and shut the drawer.
Yeah, I mean, so just go back to before the operation.
Yeah.
You were a very, very active young man.
Yes.
And you were telling us earlier that you used to do what?
What, the martial arts, do you mean?
Martial arts and loads of other things.
Yeah, so I played tennis and badminton for the county. I had my own speedboat, and at the time I was working at a little bit before that, because I went to become a manager then. But I worked on a building site, and we used to take the boat to work, not by river. I don't mean, I used to tow it to work, and then we used to go in really, really early and come finish at lunchtime. Get all our work done, finish at lunchtime, and water ski all afternoon. Wow. I sailed in my early 20s. I sailed in the fast net race, which is quite a famous race, and just anything on water. My dad was an officer in the Navy, and he was in charge of Jupiter Point, that's connected with HMS Raleigh. So we had the use of the Admiral's boat every weekend as children. So that's where I got my taste for water sports.
Mm-hmm. And then after your operation, unfortunately, because of the infection and the pain that you were suffering from or living with, you were hardly able to walk. And then from the first pain clinic that you went to, and then to the second pain clinic that you went to about 5 years ago. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Coming up to, yes.
Yeah, 5 years ago. So you were living with pain and opioid dependent for about 25 years.
Yes, it was. It was 25 years, because codeine was the first thing I came out with, and of course that is an opioid. Your body changes it into morphine. So that yes, from the age of 32 to 25, the whole for 25 years on opioids every single day. And it got to the stage where in 2017 I was on 160 milligrams of morphine, 1,800 milligrams of gabapentin, duloxetine and nortriptyline every day, with or more for flare-ups. So on top of that, 160, nice guidelines of 120, I was on 160 plus or more for flare-ups.
And on all of those pain relief, and I one of my trainers actually say, stop calling them painkillers. It gives false expectations, because they don't kill pain. They do help with alleviating pain. So I do choose my words very carefully when I speak to patients about pain relief. And on all of those pain reliefs, how much pain were you experiencing?
It was increasing. That's the ironic thing. It was getting worse, and that's why I needed to find something else to get myself well or not be here, basically, because it was just unbearable. Yes, it started to increase, and that's why the 2017. It was such a relief to be able to find that getting better was possible. And I just wish that, for people ask me when I do talk to them, the GPs, clinicians, and they ask me, what if you could take yourself back to at the age of 32 and you were in pain and you knew this was what's going to happen, what would you actually want? So one of the main things I say is that I'd like somebody like me that was going to tell me that everything was going to be okay. And social prescribing, it's such a fantastic, bring it back into the community. Don't have to go to hospital to get your help. They come to you, and it's just, social prescribing and personalized care is, just the way forward as far as I'm concerned.
Great. We'd love to learn more about that from your perspective. And so good to hear that after you've been to the pain clinic, you went from 160 milligrams of morphine and all of those other medications that you were taking. You were managed to come off all of those, and now have been 4 years completely medication free. And as you said in your email to me, that you're thriving.
Yeah, thriving, not just surviving, I'm thriving. And I'm not the only one. I expect there's some of my fellow advocates that are actually here today. That we're all thriving. We have our struggles, but I always say I don't have bad days anymore. I have some days that aren't quite so good as the really good ones. So I don't have bad days.
That's a great mindset.
Yeah, but it's you learn to think like that. Mindfully. Again, you're mindful that you've got the pain, but again, you put it to the back of the cupboard. And you said earlier on about when I do my talks is that it is a bit like if somebody stamps on your toe, it really, really hurts. But if somebody pokes you in the eye, you forget about the toe, and it's very much distraction. My dad always used to, as I say, he was an officer in the Navy. So if I wanted to go out, my chores, he'd get me to help him in the garden, do some weeding. He said, come on, Sean. He said, it's therapeutic. And little did I know the things that I love doing are making me better. Gardening, cycling, canoeing. It's the things that I love are making me better by distraction.
Great. So tell us more about what you learned in the pain clinic. You touched on that earlier, and you said you started to exercise, and great to hear you now went from not really being able to walk to being back on the waters, going out for walks, and and all of those things, and still doing your Tai Chi. That's great. And with regards to the mindfulness side of things as well, we'd love to know more about what you learned so that our audience can also get some inspiration from you.
Yeah, so as I say, I didn't get it. The psychologist Graham, I think the great thing that I was lucky with is they actually delivered with a bit of humour as well. Both of them, the physiotherapist Richard Waters from Plymouth, and Graham, the psychologist. I just didn't get it. We did a whole body mindfulness session. He'd ring his bell. And then it was, you had to think about your bottom on the seat, straight back, and all your pressure points. And then you had to think about your muscles going down your legs. And I thought, what is this man on about? I know where my feet are and I know where my legs are, but I feel stupid now by thinking he was stupid, because the man's a magician, when all psychologists and anybody that teaches mindfulness are magicians. It's such, I don't know how I learned it straight away. I don't know what that transition of not getting it to getting it was. I just got it. And as I said to you, I just think mindfully now. I did actually do an experiment where I said to Celia, I said, I might be a little bit grumpy for a little while. I'm going to try and not think mindfully and see how bad the pain got. And I couldn't do it. I tried not to think mindfully, but I wasn't, my body didn't let me, or my mind didn't let me not think mindfully and to start throwing myself in distractions again. I think your body learned, or my body's learned, that pain hurts, and you've got to try and make that pain that you do have, turn the volume down a bit, and by distraction and the mindfulness. And I don't actually practice mindfulness. I don't sit down and think, right, I'm going to do a full body mindfulness session. The only time I physically have to use it with thinking about it is sometimes when I go to sleep, or if I wake up, because when I go to sleep, obviously you're not thinking mindfully. So I always take myself to one of my favorite places. Obviously, it's got to do with water again. So it's by the beach, and I coincide the water. It's a good job I live in Cornwall, isn't it? Because I can do it, and it's only about 10, 15 minutes away. But I take myself to my favorite beach and coincide the waves with my breathing in my mind. So when the tide's coming in, that's my breathing in, and when the tide's going out, and I physically hear it, and the tide going out, the waves going out, I breathe out, and then the alarm's going off because I'm woken up in the morning. So yes, it does. And I used to wake up in the middle of the night and need more codeine at the time, and I don't mind admitting, I expect lots of people have done it, but I used to, because I was taking them not just during the day like I was supposed to, and maybe a few extra, I was taking them at night as well. So I'd run out of my prescription. And so I was buying over-the-counter drugs, so codeine, and of course that's just ridiculous, stupid thing to do. But I was desperate. I thought this medication was helping me. And Celia used to actually, because she used to hide a couple of sleeves of the cocodamol. And I think I'd run out and start panicking, and I've got to go to the shop, and then she would say, no, look, I have got some extra, because she'd see how panicked I was. But yeah, so that's one of the things that upsets me, that I wasn't a fit mind, but I thought I was. I was just desperate for some relief from this pain. And reading Celia's story the other day, and I thought about, used to get terrible night terrors as well. That was awful. I think I was asleep. Sorry, I thought I'd woken up, but I wasn't. I was still asleep and trying to struggle and disturbing Celia. And it's not, with any pain sufferer, it's not just my problem. It's my partner and everybody's partners, and the family around you. They suffer as well. But yeah, so she's happy as well now, because she doesn't have to suffer anymore. She's not worried about me twitching all over the bed and violently throwing my arms around or whatever. Yeah, so it's very hard sometimes it's cathartic to actually read the story and go back to where I was, and feel so happy that I am where I am today, I'm still in pain, but I manage it.
Can I ask you, Sean, when you were so addicted to these drugs, how did mindfulness help you with it?
Well, that's the thing. I knew that they weren't working. I am pig-headed, and I knew with something's not working, I've got to get rid of it. So, and I had fantastic support. And that's one thing, is that, you know, I had great support, and somebody who's deprescribing needs support. And I think that's where social prescribing is going to come in really big, because they can support, and personalized care, because everybody's different. You know, everybody's got different needs. So mindfulness actually helped me to deprescribe, because I put myself in a different place. So I knew I had to come off them. So the opioids came first, and I made this goal, and I'm a great believer in setting goals. And one thing is to make sure that you reward yourself when you get to that goal, even if it's a bar of chocolate. So you've got something to signify something at the end of that goal. And I made this goal that I wanted to be off opioids for Christmas, because we were going, hopefully, to our sons up in South Northamptonshire, and with our new granddaughter, and I wanted to play with our new granddaughter. So that was my incentive. I wanted to play with my granddaughter. So the mindfulness actually I was able to not think about the pain, and it also helped me with coming off the medication, with the effects of coming off the medication. I just didn't get it. So I was very, very lucky that I didn't have any DTs.
When you said that after the 9th session, it just clicked.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that moment.
Yeah, well, it was a joyous one, is all I can say. It was fantastic that I actually started to get it, and I think I don't actually remember that click. It wasn't like a light switch. I just realized all of a sudden that it was working, and I had to try and think, when did that happen? I just got it. I was able to put my mind into a different place. And that's what I think it is. It's as I said just now about going to sleep. I take myself to the beach, and I hear the waves coming in and out. So the easiest mindfulness session is breathing exercise. And I think that they do now is like a square breathing, don't they? Which I didn't get taught. That is breathing for so many seconds, hold it for so many seconds, breathe out for so many seconds, and then hold up for so many seconds. But that does work too. And it's you're thinking about, hang on, I've got to start counting 4. And then all of a sudden you're not thinking about the pain, you're thinking about the counting. So that's another way, I suppose, but mine's the water.
I'm the same with the water as well. I'm a water baby. If there is water, I'm in clothes and I have no bikini, I jump in with my clothes in, because it's just so revitalizing. It feels so amazing, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah. And it's cold water swimming. We're lucky enough to have an above ground swimming pool, so I can jump in at the end of the garden. So I'm fine with that. But if Louise is listening to today, she's actually into this wild swimming, and gets a lot of joy out of that, and it helps with her arthritis and everything. It's it's something to be reckoned with, is wild swimming, cold water.
It does increase your endorphins, actually, and
yes.
So the happy hormones.
Yes,
I love it too. And Erica actually does incredible meditation sessions. So anybody who would like to join us over the week on the website is completely free of charge. It's everything that we do to teach mindfulness and meditation. She definitely taught me a lot. And yes, breathing is such an anchoring feeling, isn't it?
Oh, unbelievable. You've got to do it every day, all the time. You think, how is that very big thing is helping me not only live, but it's also taking the nasty stuff away by thinking about it. It's ridiculous, but it does work. Yeah. Nicely ridiculous.
Exactly. It's our life force after all.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So if we can touch now a little bit on the addiction, and what was it like to come off it after you had the revelation that yes, you can do it? I guess that's the first step, and also the second, why should you do it? The why that comes from within, right? But
Yes.
then comes the hard work. So
Yeah.
what was the practical initial steps that if those who are watching us and they're struggling with it, what could they do to start with?
Small increments, and always do it under the supervision of a pharmacist or a clinician. Don't try doing it yourself, and don't think, oh, I'm doing okay saying that, but I did actually take a drop of a bit more than I should have done because I set that goal, but it's not a sensible thing. So if you do it really, really slowly, 10% over 2 weeks, I think I was advised to do. I didn't get an awful lot. I had headaches, and I say sleep apnea. I wasn't getting much sleep anyway, but it seemed to be even worse, the sleep. But I knew that I was going to get better, or I hoped that I was going to get better. And I think that big word hope is what me telling my story gives to others that are in that position. It's a very, very easy word to say, but it means so much. And it's that not being told by your GP you're not having any more medication, but being told by somebody who's been exactly where you are that you can be off the medication and be okay, and more than okay.
I think you talking about your, cocodamol and having to go out to the pharmacy to buy the over-the-counter lower strength ones, because you were taking over what you were prescribed. And for any clinicians who might be listening as well, just kind of, also consider it from the patient's perspective, that you weren't doing it because you wanted to do it. You were in pain, and you literally just wanted anything at all you could find to help relieve or alleviate that pain, even just a little. And I think very often when people like this come to us and they're finishing up their prescription early, we ask them all sorts of questions, and I guess from the patient's perspective as well, it could be actually quite difficult to go to your GP and ask for more prescription, because you're going to get that lecture of why you're doing this, you shouldn't be doing this. But at the same time, nothing else is offered to you.
No, it wasn't. No, and that's the thing, is that we live in quite a small community, and there's only one pharmacist, so everybody knew me. I used to. Everybody knows everybody, and we used to go to dinner parties, years and years ago, with two people that worked in the GP surgery, and of course then I was poorly and then going in there, so they knew what I was like, and they it's very hard to go into. One of them was the pharmacist in the surgery, and they knew what I was doing. I'd admit that I told lies, and I said that I'd lost some. Some had gone. I dropped some in a puddle and they were ruined, so could I have some more, please? And it's only now that I realized what a problem I had and how addicted to that I really was. And it's not because of the pain. I said to you earlier, one of the biggest things I try to get across to, because I've done quite a few pharmacy talks as well to pharmacists, is that when I went from the 160 down to 80, I was in less pain quite dramatically. It was quite quick that I was in less pain than I was on the 160. I know I was doing the mindfulness and the exercise, but it was pretty early on that I had that. I found out that I was in less pain. So I did actually talk to my physiotherapist at the pain management center, and he said, you're not the first person to say that. So nice guidelines being 120, perhaps that in sometime in the very soon future, I hope that they actually bring it down to maybe 100 or maybe 80, because that's the 80 was my sweet point of it was getting noticeably better. The pain was less then, should I say.
So Sean, you're saying that you were given medications and at the same time, were you advised that these medications are very addictive?
No, that's the awful thing. And I was talking to Tony Jameson from NHS England, and it was an integrated care conference, and he said, well, I've followed you, Sean. He said, and one thing I've noticed is that you never actually lay blame on anybody for giving you all that medication. So I'm a sensible person. Back when I was doing it, there wasn't anything else that was really, really available 25 or 29 years ago now. So I'm there sitting in the GP surgery saying that I'm in pain, I need something. What is that GP meant to do? He's not, there wasn't anything they have to give out. But I am bitter about the length of time I was on it, but I didn't get the care after I came off the medication. Since that's just over 4 years, I've had one phone call from my GP. So I haven't had to go back, thank goodness, because I don't go to the doctors anymore. I still have blood samples taken because I do have a bit of hypertension. And that was another thing. I used to have take 2 tablets for my blood pressure, getting fit and healthy and living better. One of those is gone now. So I'm only on 1 tablet. I can't, Indapapide, something like that. So I'm only on 1 blood pressure. So coming off the medication has made me fitter, and it's also made my heart better, and I don't, my blood pressure is better. Sorry, what was the original question? I've gone off on one, haven't I? Just, yes, I've had no support from my GP. The pain management centre, I can phone them up and talk to them because of what I'm doing, talking to patients, and that I go in and talk to the new influx of people going on the same PMP program that I did, to give them that bit of hope. When I go in, that's the other thing, is that talking to somebody with lived life experience can help the NHS, is that their patients listen to patients, as I've said, but the drop-offs, not so much. When I did mine, I think there was 15 of us started, 6 of us finished, and most of us are pain medication free. But when I started doing my talks, the drop off was only like 2 or 3 people, which is fantastic because it doesn't waste other spaces that other people in pain could have been on, and it's making more people better.
Sorry, let me just clarify. So when you started to go back to present, sort of to tell your story as an inspiration,
yes,
that meant that more people stayed on the program than the people who left previous to prior to having sort of a real life story told to them.
Yes, and I've seen big burly tattooed men in front of me in those groups crying because I've given them hope, and they realise that it's not the end being on all that medication and in pain.
Yeah.
They can do it.
Can we just send love to Sean here, please? Because he's a survivor, and he's showing us, if you just send a love emoji in the chat, and if you're watching us on YouTube, please send that love to him, because honestly, you are just an incredibly inspiring person who not only is taking responsibility for everything and system failure as well, but also you found a way out. And I want to highlight that this is the mindset, this is the mindfulness where allows you to be empowered to take those, make those changes. And it just gives me goosebumps to feel how many years you had to suffer and how you must have felt when basically you felt like you're a drug addict. And this was of no fault of yours, and you were just trying to find a way to exist.
Yes, an intentional drug addict is what I was calling myself. I didn't want to be a drug addict. it wasn't my intention. I didn't get any glorification or euphoria feeling. It was just, I thought, getting rid of the pain. In fact, our daughter is a prescribing nurse. Actually, she's a transplant nurse now. So, but she was at the time working in an area which didn't have very nice people, and she said that I was actually taking exactly the same sort of drugs as these people on the street were taking. But they were being prescribed to me. Yeah, but thank you for all the love then, because it makes me quite emotional.
Yes, you really have done an incredible job, Sean, and we just need to stop for a moment to appreciate that. And not only that, you continue to bring this message, and you have become an advocate for patients. And as you said, you made big burly men with tattoos cry, because there is so little that we offer to patients, unfortunately, to actually help them truly with the problem that they are experiencing in the present, and how they could address that, not only with drugs, but with all the other options that we have available. When you mentioned that you were going off your medication, you said that also we weren't there for you to help de-prescribe. How did you deal with this, and how did this process come about then?
My GP, that was the pain management at UHP, University Hospital Plymouth. They were fantastic. So it was them that were my cushion. Then they were my go-to people to, even that they wouldn't sign you off until you were okay. So when I was saying about my GP, I haven't heard from him since. I had one call when he found out that I'd come off all the medication, and that was to say, well done, you've done brilliantly. And that was the last I heard of him. That was probably 3.5 years ago, nearly 4 years ago. So yes, that's the only thing that I talked to Celia about, and say, it should have done more to find out how I was doing. In fact, I talked to the pharmacist in the surgery, who's fantastic, but my GP hasn't bothered to contact me at all. No, nothing. Yeah, nothing written at all, but just a phone call saying you've done okay, or you've done very well, he said.
Well, let us from the NHS just tell you how amazing you have done, really.
I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one.
And I see your colleague here, also your partner in crime, Louise, here, who is sharing such a thoughtful messages and sending you all the love from all of our listeners. It is a sad story that we need to learn from, and we don't need to blame, of course, but we need to learn, when we talk about opiates, and that includes codeine, we need to inform our patients that it is very addictive, just like any other opiate. It is addictive, and some people are much more sensitive to it from the beginning. A few tablets can also already put them on the addictive wagon. So learning as physicians and listening to you is what teaches us how to be better. So we definitely have to make it clear. B, would you say that from now on, we have to advise our patients about all the practical steps also that they can do to address their pain? Should that be done from the very early stages, do you think?
Yes, I always say that there should be like a verbal or even a written contract now that, prior, somebody's coming out post-op then and you're prescribed opioids, the conversation should go a little bit like, these only work for about 12 weeks. If you've got pain after that, we need to think about alternative therapies to deal with your pain. The opioids will not work, or codeine won't work, whatever you're on opioid wise. We need to be talking again after 12 weeks, definitely. And I do think I've worked with a lady called Georgia Richards. She's a researcher at Oxford University. Some of her research work is fantastic. And on the back of some of her research, Canada now, I think, has put codeine as prescription only. You can't buy codeine over the counter in Canada at the moment or anymore. So but personally, I'd like to see that, because, okay, I live in a small place and I could buy a packet of codeine tablets, albeit they were a lot weaker than what I was prescribed. But I'm not very far away from Plymouth, and I could go to several shops to buy it. So I could buy one in each place, and you can't keep going back to the same as an addict. Then, for want of a better word description, I could go to several and buy it without being recognised as the person he's been in before.
Yeah, and at the same time, instead of slapping our patients on their hands to say you can't have more and why are you here, it should be parallel that we say there is other options. Have you considered maybe that opportunity to say, here, we could do more with this rather than give you only medications? Wouldn't it be a dream world?
Yes, absolutely. That would be perfect. And that's what I've been working the last 4 years to try and get out there, that the alternative therapies are better. But our main word is skills, not pills. So you learn your skills, don't keep taking the pills. As I said, Dr. Michael Dixon's, his is beyond pills, but put a little bit, we started ours first. Our skills, not pills, came first.
Fantastic.
And actually, talking about that, you guys have been doing a lot of work down in the Cornwall area on pain management and really being very patient focused.
Yes.
And a very interesting thing, this community pain cafe came about. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, certainly. So I was involved with a little project in Plymouth where I was invited. The guy that was on my pain management, he just finished his sports physiotherapy, but he was on our PMP as an observer. He asked me, because of my success, he asked me to go to join him on this well-being cafe. It wasn't actually a pain cafe, but it was not called that. So I went to this cafe, and it was in the surgery, and there was myself, Sam, who's the physiotherapist, and the GP, and there was just two groups of 6 people. All on high dose opioids, all in pain, some cancer, some non-cancer. And after talking to them, it was 11 out of the 12 people that I saw. So it was 2 sessions over 2 days. 11 people out of the 2 sessions asked to go on a deprescribing program and be referred to the in-house gym to be able to use this GP surgery had a fantastic surgery. So so that worked. So I told my story to Cornwall Foundation Trust had a group called Patient Safety Kerno Quality Improvement. So I spoke at a conference, and I was lucky that they embraced my story and asked me to stay on. And that was just over 3 and a bit years ago. And that's where I met Jim Huddy and several other colleagues that I actually work with now. And I told them about this cafe. So we started one in Jim's surgery down at Perranporth. And that worked so well. And we'd started up before COVID. And people got so much out of it, and then obviously with COVID we went virtual, and we thought this was going to fizzle out a little bit during COVID. Then we opened up, it didn't fizzle out, it carried on going virtually. Then when we opened up again, it was coming to a natural end because we set a time, but when that time ended, they've asked to restart. They didn't want to stop, and they get that camaraderie and that but it's self-help. They help each other. That's why I always recommend and champion starting up WhatsApp groups, because those people on the pain management program, I'm still in contact with the ladies that were on my PMP through WhatsApp. One of the ladies a couple of years ago now, she was had a bit of a blip in her recovery. So we rallied around her and helped her, and she's doing fine again now. So it's that self-help, group help, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That's why it didn't fizzle out, because we all need community. And we're all like Johnson Dr. Johnson Tamlet, I think it was, he said in January when he talked to us that we heal in community. And I remember writing that down in my book.
But how true is that? We're learning more and more and more about that, which is where I'm coming from now. So we're going back to the patient safety counter. So we did, I think it was 2 and a bit years left of running patient safety kernel QI. That finished, but we hadn't, as a break-off group, our deprescribing break-off group, because at the time it was sepsis, falls in nursing homes, and deprescribing opioids. So our team carried on going. So there was Jim Huddy, pain lead at Kerno CCG and GP at Perranporth. Keith Mitchell, he is a pain management consultant. So the three of us carried on going, and then we've got on board now, we have Nikki and Kevin, who are social prescribers, and Deborah, who is a community nurse. She's a Queen's Nursing Institute, a Queen's nurse. So we've now absolutely brilliantly been able to get funding from the Queen's Nursing Institute to put 30 combination of social prescribers, pharmacists and community nurses. So that's 2 people from each PCN in Cornwall. So it's 15 PCNs, 2 from each. And the lovely Frances Coles, Live Well with Pain, runs a 10 Footsteps, Louise, who's on here today, also delivers some of the stuff, and I'm going to be getting involved with that as well, be delivering some of it. It's fantastic. So we're actually going to be able to put 30 people from Cornwall through the 10 Footsteps training, so that we can actually bring the managed pain management into the community. And that will help so many more people, not having to wait to be referred to the pain clinic or having to go to see the GP to get help. Community nurses can do it alongside the social prescribers. And we haven't touched on this, but stress turns the volume of pain up. So as much of that stress we can take away, people in pain, they have housing problems, they have financial problems, they have relationship problems. A GP can't help with going to the bank or going to housing, but social prescribers can point you in the right direction. And I think that's the way forward, is to start with, turn that volume down by taking all the stress away, and then go in with the help with deprescribing and pointing them and signposting them to the correct places that they need to go, personalizing the care that they're getting.
And that was where I met you, Sean, at one of the conferences for the social prescribers nationally.
Yes, right. Yes.
Yeah. So let's give a shout out as well to all the social prescribers, link workers working hard in the community.
Yes, and interesting you say that, Sean. Like, I have become a social prescriber lead in my hospital right now.
Fantastic.
From the doctor's point of view, and it's incredible because now in emergency medicine we are having a link worker with whom I'm working closely to actually refer our patients into the community and also to afternoon tea to help them with their chronic diseases while we are helping them with everything that life has to bring, right?
Fantastic. Get social prescribers in secondary care too, because you can then they can actually talk to the social prescribers in primary, they're working in primary care, and then you get that fluidity of being in hospital in pain after an operation straight into the community. Forget about the GP at the time. No, I'm joking.
I think you said it right, because we need to not blame, but actually bring solutions. And that's what you're doing. we need to bring solution to our NHS, who is trying so hard to survive this pandemic of chronic diseases, pain, and also now the pandemic of COVID.
Yes.
So that's what you're doing amazingly. You're bringing the solution to the NHS rather than pointing fingers, which is not helpful for anyone. And everybody's just trying their best, as you said. I would love to just sum up for those patients who do not want to go on drugs, or if they want to deprescribe because it's not helping them. Could we just sum up with the mindfulness, exercise, and local maybe desensitization? What did you do one more time, and what could they start with immediately?
Okay, so I was put on the spot at one of these conferences by a guy. He said, you've done mindfulness. Somebody's dropped out of the conference. Can you go and deliver some mindfulness for me? So I said, well, I've learned it, but I'd never delivered it. So anyway, I got up on stage in front of 75 clinicians, and I started doing what I do myself.
But you do one now?
Yeah.
Would you run us through a mindfulness session?
Okay.
Amazing. All right.
So if you all like to sit in your seats, backs firmly against, straight in the back, close your eyes, put your hands where you're comfortable. Just feel very, very comfortable. And as I said, when I take myself to my lovely place, it's by the beach. So take yourself to wherever you want, and how I breathe in. When the tide's coming in, the waves are splashing on the beach, just breathe in. Birds are singing in the background. When the tide starts going out, the waves go out, breathe out again. Breathe in, breathe out. Very, very slowly. The warm sun on your back. Breathe in, breathe out. The splashing of the waves coming in, splash of the waves going out, that whooshing sound as it goes out. Just breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And then I'm off. Keep doing that. Breathe in, breathe out. Be aware of the pressure points, your bottom on the seat, your hands on your legs perhaps, wherever they are. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel all of that stress just leaving your body. Think about nice things. Breathe in, breathe out. And then if I had my mobile phone with me, I'd play the gong. And then when you're ready, just open your eyes again. And hopefully you feel a bit more relaxed. Yes, I have an app with a gong that I still now and then play for myself.
Oh, John, I feel so relaxed. I'm standing, so it was very hard to. It was very hard to keep standing. It was so relaxing. Thank you.
But it's so simple, but so effective.
Can you share how often do you do it, and when do you incorporate this into your daily practice?
As I said, because I've been doing it for 4 years now, it comes naturally. I don't actually have to do it to get that pain away. It works all the time. My mind's changed, working differently, but I do use it for sleep. Don't get me wrong, I do still have flare-ups, and then I'll sit down, I'll go on the moors and sit on a rock looking out over the reservoir and just think mindfully and start thinking about it's not always water, it's the whistling of the wind in the trees, and just start thinking and just drift away. Whatever I'm so easily drift away now. Celia says, are you there? Are you listening to me? So I can turn myself off now.
And if we are ready for a bit of exercise. How did you start incorporating that into your life when you weren't even able to walk, basically, due to this pain?
Yeah, I did a Tai Chi course, Sebastian Gagong, and that can be done sitting down. So if if you're physically not able to get up, it's so gentle that there's plenty of resources on the internet to find out about that, but it's so gentle, and it's just that movement. You get into it and you start enjoying it, and I say I do it a lot, and it's just to relax. And again, take myself up onto. I've bought myself a Louise will know, I've got a drone, and we've been threatening to make a few films of like inspirational things. So I'm going to take myself up on the Brocken, up on the moors, and film myself doing some Tai Chi and put it on YouTube and share it with everybody and anybody I can. And that'll be called, from my point of view, it'll be Sean's story. This is the other way. And the drone that I've got, I can program it to follow me on the jet ski or on the kayak, so I can be hands-free and it'll just follow me wherever I go. So I'm going to be doing some of that as well.
Was there anything particularly locally to your pain that helped you?
Local as in a resource?
Local to the actual iliac fossa, so the incision area.
Right. Okay. I didn't focus on that, because focusing on that pain area was only making the pain worse, because I just exercised. I didn't do, because it's my right side, my hernia, I didn't do more right-legged exercise or anything. It was just general exercise. But I know Louise suffers with arthritis and she does a lot of walking. So yes, it does. There are exercises, but my personal pain site, I notice that I don't hurt quite so much walking now. I don't have to think too mindfully for it to go away, whereas I did to start with. So I know that I've got muscle down there, which I didn't have before. So it's just generally exercising and feeling better and wellness, and it's just, yeah, I'm so happy now.
Can I just confirm, how long did it take you to come off of those medications?
Right. Okay. So I finished I think it was the first few days in October, I finished the pain management, and I was off the opioids for Christmas. So 12 weeks ish. But I was actually, I did actually come off them a bit too quick, really. I shouldn't have finished that really until probably mid-January. The gabapentin, and that was about, again, mid-March. I was off, in fact, just the end of March, I was off everything. So I've just gone past the 4 years of everything, but Christmas, just before Christmas is my, I was off 4 years last Christmas.
Incredible. Congratulations. Please, again, people, if you're watching us, do send him some love. Sean is doing an incredible job. Thank you, Monica. It's just wonderful to see, really, that going from suffering, you went to thriving. And I want to say here, even if you don't suffer from chronic pain particularly, I kind of believe life is suffering. So if we recognize that we are, but we recognize that we are not here to be happy every single day, then we know that we have to deal with life. We have to be dealing with it with intention. We have to be able to be present and really face it head on. And your practices that you have just mentioned really helped me as well. Especially exercise has been always my form of drug, but always do it with however it helps you, so that you can be in community. Like, I love going cycling with my dad. It's something that we can do together. I love going rock climbing with my partner, Adrian. And it kind of becomes a lifestyle, isn't it? Yeah. Rather than just like exercise that you might not want to do in the gym.
Yes.
How do you keep with your activities, making it sustainable for those who have a busy life and think that, well, I can't really do this on a regular basis?
just give yourself time, make a plan, just to put that exercises and mindfulness into your daily plan. Even if you do 5 minutes of mindfulness a day, it's just one of those, you say that about putting it into daily life. I had to do a presentation to the Queen's Nursing Institute the other day. Well, my first one was about 4 weeks ago, so I've done 2 to them now. Second one wasn't quite so bad, but Jim and they told me that they were a bit stuffy, the actual Queen's Nursing, the guys in the office, and it was so important that I got this delivery right on this presentation, and I started to panic a little bit prior to it. And then Deborah O'Nions, who's our Queen's nurse, who's part of our team, but obviously the Q&I as well, she said, not a patient has never delivered a presentation to the Q&I. It's always been a clinician's. Put the pressure on me. So anyway, I was getting really stressed about it, but I sat down and I started to breathe and I started to think about the beach, and then it went away again. And then just prior, I went, oh my God, I've got to do that again. So, it's you can put it into everyday life. And if you've got that situation, going for a driving test or something like that, anything, having to see the bank manager, just sit and breathe, or stand and breathe. Something you do all day, every day, but just think about it. And then that's how it works.
Thank you for sharing your story and for educating us doctors on how to be better at what we do. We are really, really inspired by our patient stories. And as long as we don't take both sides, we will never learn anything new. So exactly. You have given us a lesson that, we will cherish and always think about every single time we're going to talk about medications from now on. So thank you for that.
So you're very welcome. And thank you for appreciating my story. Thank you for listening.
Not only your story, but also for the work that you do. So anybody down in Cornwall area, how can they get in touch with you, Sean, and get on the program?
I'm very welcome for you, or very up for you giving out my email if somebody wants to get through to me, or I'm on I'm on Twitter, anywhere you want, Facebook, Sean Jennings. And you've got my Twitter tag. So if people want to get hold of me, then please do.
We will share it here in the comments as well as on the YouTube, and it will be also on our website. So thank you so much for everybody joining us today. We are going to go to our non-recorded session now, where we can actually talk to Sean and to have a coaching session for anybody who would like to learn how to live without pain with the guidance of Sean here. So if you would like to become a member, come on afternoonteawithdocs.com so that you can get that peer-to-peer support that you need. It's completely free of charge, like everything that we do here on Afternoon Tea. And also you can say hello on Instagram, as well as Facebook and LinkedIn, so that we learn a little bit more about you and also about your needs to change your lifestyle practices so that you too can live a long and fulfilling life like everybody should. So thanks again. We hope to see you next Sunday, and we wish you a very happy Easter. Bye, guys.